Welcome to your PEBT skill building lessons. We're glad to have you join us. This is the third in a series of learning opportunities, some self-directed like this one, and others through Zoom or in-person sessions. Today's skill building session will help you develop the knowledge and skills needed to perform the duties of a PEBT benefits administrator effectively. In this lesson, we will focus on 5 aspects of managing benefit records: eligibility, enrolling a member, making benefit updates, including salary updates, adding and removing dependents, and terminations, ensuring beneficiaries are updated, and processing dependent child student confirmations. Before we get started, I want to remind you that there are sources of information to support you. You may even want to open these tools so you can pause the lesson and reference them. We also encourage you to brush up on the member benefits. The best way to do this is through the PEBT website. Under Member Benefits, you will find details about each benefit in these sections. For District Union Local specific information, click on the My Benefits link at the top left of every page. So, let's jump in to manage benefit records. Determining whether an employee is eligible for benefits is the first step in exploring benefit eligibility. Each school district has their own eligibility rules. As a benefits administrator, you must be familiar with the eligibility rules for the unionized support staff at your district. A member, also known as a unionized support staff employee, is eligible for benefits coverage under the PEBT benefits program in accordance with your collective agreement and the eligibility requirements and waiting period outlined in the My Benefits section of the website. Find your school district and then click through to see both coverage and benefits. You will need to look at each benefit to see the eligibility, as this varies by benefit. If the information is not clearly outlined in the collective agreement or under the My Benefits section of the PEBT website, speak to your supervisor at the district for assistance. If the rules aren't clearly outlined, you may want to work internally at the district to formally document the rules for current and future administrators. Eligibility could include the minimum number of hours per week the employee must work, a waiting period to be completed, which could be different for each benefit. In all cases, the employee must be actively at work on the eligibility date. Our definition of actively at work means a member is attending their usual place of employment with the employer, is performing all the normal and customary duties for a full working day or shift, or is on vacation, a statutory holiday, or a regular non-working day and is capable of being at work. It does not mean working less than the required minimum number of hours per week specified in the summary of benefits, or employment not at the usual place of employment unless at a location the district requires the member to travel. Actively at work is also referred to as actively employed or active employment. We encourage you to pause here and go to the website and/or your collective agreement to explore eligibility for your district's unionized support staff. Now that you know a member is eligible, there are steps for you to take in a timely manner. Delays in enrollment can result in more work for you and the members. First, you must determine what option you will use to enroll members. 2 options available are the traditional method, where the employee completes the paper or electronic copy of the PEBT enrollment form and you manually input their information into AdminNet, or use the digital member enrollment tool available through AdminNet. We will review each of these options. The first option is to provide an electronic or paper copy of the PEBT benefits enrollment form to the employee to complete and sign. You can find the form on our website under Forms. Advise the employee of the deadline to return the signed form. Employees who do not complete and sign the PEBT benefits enrollment form within 4 months of the initial eligibility date will be considered a late applicant. Employees and/or dependents, spouse and children, who are late applicants will be required to submit additional paperwork and evidence of good health to be enrolled in the benefits plan. If evidence of good health is not provided, the benefits provider will not approve the coverage. It's much better to get the member and their dependents enrolled before the late enrollment date. In Lesson 2, we talked about definitions. As a reminder, here are the definitions for members and dependents. When you get the form back, review it to ensure it is fully and accurately completed and signed, and then use AdminNet to enroll the employee on the benefits plan. Here is a special tip. If the employee is waiving the coverage for their spouse and/or dependent children, PBC recommends you enter their information into AdminNet with the initial enrollment and then waive the coverage. This makes it easier to add coverage or unwaive the coverage for their dependents in the future should they lose their current coverage. If you try to add them to AdminNet at a later date when they need the coverage, the AdminNet system will flag them as late applicants. Once enrolled, let the employee know when they can start using their benefits and either advise them they'll receive an ID card from PBC directly or send them their ID card once you receive it from PBC. Each district has the option to have the ID card sent directly to the employee or sent to the district office for distribution. Ask your supervisor which option your district chose. The second option available for enrolling employees is to use PBC's Digital Member Enrollment tool. This tool allows you to invite employees to input all the information needed for enrollment online through AdminNet. The District Benefits Administrator completes some basic profile and employment information, and then AdminNet sends an email to the employee inviting them to complete the rest of the enrollment. There is a section on AdminNet where you can check the status of any enrollment invitations you have sent. When a member has completed their enrollment, the district administrator can download a copy of the enrollment form for the district's records. Advise them they'll receive an ID card from PBC or send them their ID card once you receive it from PBC. See the AdminNet guide for more details on how to use the Digital Member Enrollment tool. While the tool may improve efficiency for some plans, it may not be suitable for all district administrators, especially if you have a plan where benefit start dates routinely need to be adjusted in AdminNet. If you are unsure if this tool is right for you, please reach out to your service representative at PBC or to the PEBT to have a discussion before using it. Regardless of which enrollment method you use, AdminNet provides support for a variety of functions. If AdminNet is not set up or cannot be set up to calculate the correct effective dates for every benefit due to different waiting periods, use AdminNet's Benefit Management function. Here, you can edit benefit start dates or waive waiting periods. Instructions for how to use these functions can be found in the AdminNet Enrollment Help Guide. Let's check in on your learning. Where will you find eligibility details for your district? A, on AdminNet, B, in the Collective Agreement and PEBT website, or C, on the PBC website? The correct answer is B, in the Collective Agreement and on the PEBT website. What are two options for enrolling a member? A, send them to the PBC website. B, give the member a paper form and then input into AdminNet. Or C, send a digital invite to the member via AdminNet. The answer is B and C. Give the member a paper form and then input their information manually into AdminNet, or send a digital invite to the member via AdminNet. Once completed, advise them of the start date for benefits coverage and that they'll be receiving an ID card shortly. Don't forget to ensure enrollment happens before the late enrollment date. There are several factors that can change the employee's eligibility for benefits or the employee's level of coverage. For example, their employment status with the district changes. They get a new position, work more or less hours, and their earnings may change due to their status change. Changes based on the employee's age, or collectively bargained salary changes. For these types of changes, there are no forms for the employee to complete. You, however, will need to monitor these types of changes as they occur and review whether an update is required in the AdminNet system. This could include a new position that requires a change to the employee's division, class, or plan setup, which could change the benefits the employee is eligible for. Working more hours may also make them eligible for more benefits, while working less hours may make them ineligible for some benefits. Turning a certain age could change or reduce a benefit. For example, core LTD coverage terminates at age 65. Some districts have life coverage that reduces by a certain percentage at age 65, and other districts have several age bands where life coverage progressively becomes less over time. Some of these age rules can be built into AdminNet, like terminating coverage at a certain age, while others need to be monitored and manually updated by the district administrator. If you are unsure of what rules will occur automatically within AdminNet and which ones require manual intervention by you, please contact your service representative at PBC for assistance. Changes in salary could be due to a new position or a collectively bargained rate increase. You can update earnings information for an employee on an individual basis through AdminNet, or if updating several employees, you can use the mass salary loading template. This template is available from your PBC service representative or can be found on the forms page of the PEBT website. Salary updates must always be provided as an annual salary, as this is a PEBT requirement. Benefits such as life, AD&D, and other LTD or STD, for those districts that offer these benefits, are usually based on salary, so it is important to make these updates. It is best to make these updates on AdminNet as soon as possible to avoid large retroactive adjustments on your invoice. The other type of change that occurs is when an employee has a life event, which changes the type or level of benefits required by the employee. After initial enrollment, a member may experience various life events, including marriage or cohabitation, obtaining a new job role, the birth of a child, divorce, death of a dependent, the spouse losing or gaining coverage through their employer, and various leaves and retirement. When a life event occurs, in many cases, the employee will need to complete and sign a PEBT change form to communicate the changes to you. Your responsibility is to provide an electronic or paper copy of the PEBT change form to the employee to complete and sign. You can find the form on our website under Forms. When an employee gains a spouse or child, they have 4 months from the spouse and or child's initial eligibility date to provide a signed change form, or the dependents will be considered late applicants. For example, if an employee gets married, they have 4 months from the date of the marriage to provide the signed change form. Or if they give birth or adopt a child, they need to provide the signed change form within 4 months of the birth or official adoption date. When you get the form back, review it to ensure it is fully and accurately completed and signed, and then use AdminNet to make the update. If there are new dependents added to the employee's plan, advise them when their dependents can start using their benefits, and advise them they'll be receiving an ID card from PBC. Each district has the option to have the ID cards sent directly to the employee or sent to the district office for distribution. If you are unsure of the option your district has chosen, ask your supervisor or your PBC service representative for assistance. If an employee is losing dependents, it is important to make the updates in AdminNet as soon as possible to avoid claim payments for dependents that may no longer be eligible for coverage. See Lesson 1 and 2 for more details on how to access and use AdminNet. If the employee is waiving the coverage for their new spouse and or dependent children, have them complete the waiver of coverage form, also found on the Forms page of the website. PBC recommends you enter the dependent's information into AdminNet with their initial enrollment and then waive the coverage. This makes it easier to add or unwaive coverage for these dependents in the future should they lose their current coverage. If you try to add them to AdminNet at a later date, the AdminNet system will flag them as late applicants. For retirements, a change form is not required, but the district must provide information to the employee about their options to convert their group coverage to an individual plan, which we'll review later in this presentation. We will talk about leaves in a future lesson. A beneficiary is a person or organization designated by the employee to receive the proceeds of their life and or accidental death and dismemberment coverage in the event of their death while covered for these benefits. The initial beneficiary nomination is made during the initial enrollment process when the employee is first eligible for benefits. However, there are times when the employee may need to update that information to ensure the benefits get to the right people should the employee die. Going forward, it is very important the employee review their beneficiary information on a regular basis and make updates when necessary. Not having updated beneficiary information can lead to serious consequences should the employee die before an update is made. Updates can be made using the PEBT change form. This form must be clearly completed, signed, and dated, and kept on record with the original enrollment form. Both of these forms will be requested at the time of a claim. We recommend asking the employee to review their beneficiary information anytime they have a life change event, such as marriage, divorce, or the addition or removal of a dependent child. Additionally, it is also best practice to ask all employees to review their beneficiary information once every 1 to 2 years. There are different types of beneficiaries. You can learn about these on the PEBT website under the Benefits FAQs under the question, "What do I need to know when designating my beneficiaries?" Because you are often the person employees interact with when completing forms, we encourage you to review the information and to point members there as well. A few tips. If an employee designates a minor as a beneficiary, it is important the employee appoints a trustee on the form. Not having a trustee appointed can delay a life claim being paid. If the employee wishes to name a contingent beneficiary, a beneficiary who replaces a primary beneficiary if the primary beneficiary is deceased, missing, or declines the proceeds, they can complete a contingent beneficiary form. This form needs to be kept with the original enrollment form and any change forms on file. Let's check in on your learning. Name 3 life events that require updates or changes to a member's file in AdminNet. Any of these life events require updates to AdminNet to ensure employees and their dependents are receiving the benefits they are entitled to in a timely manner. Marriage and cohabitation, new role, birth of a child, divorce, death of a dependent, and a spouse losing or gaining coverage through employment. When is the best time to ask an employee to review their beneficiaries? During life event changes, or all employees once every 1 to 2 years. There are a few reasons benefit coverage is terminated. These include the employee terminates their employment with the school district, the employee loses eligibility for coverage due to a reduction of hours or a change of job, the school district terminates the employee's employment, the employee retires, or the employee reaches a certain age for some benefits when benefits are no longer covered. When benefits are terminated or reduced, the employee has the option to convert their coverage to an individual plan. The PEBT Notice of Conversion form, found under Forms on the website, needs to be completed by the benefits administrator and provided to the employee promptly, as there are time limits for converting to an individual plan. This is important and is a requirement of the plan. The form provides the employee with the time limits and the contact information for the carriers for the applicable benefits. It should be noted that converting to an individual plan is just an option. The employee is not required to do this, and the benefit plan and the cost of an individual plan will differ from what is provided through the district's group plan. If an employee is terminated from their job, the effective date of benefit coverage termination is usually the same as the termination date, unless otherwise specified by the collective agreement or district past practice. This also applies to retirements. However, for retirements, many, but not all districts, continue coverage for extended health and dental to the end of the month or the end of the next month. You will need to ask your supervisor if there are any specific termination rules used at your district. If the district has terminated an employee and needs to extend benefit coverage for a certain period of time after the termination, please contact your hub consultant to ensure approval and coordination with the insurers before finalizing a termination agreement with the employee. When benefit coverage stops due to reaching a specific age, the termination effective date is the date the employee turns the specified age, unless another effective date for termination is specifically outlined in the plan text. Most age reductions or termination ages are built into the AdminNet system, but you can check with PBC if you are unsure. For example, if the termination age for life coverage is age 70, AdminNet will automatically stop life coverage for the employee on their 70th birthday. When dependent children reach the maximum age for coverage, you will need to follow a timely process to ensure appropriate updates are made in AdminNet. A dependent child is eligible for benefits to the maximum age allowed in your district's plan, provided they are a natural, adopted, or stepchild who is single, meaning unmarried and not living in a common law relationship, and financially dependent on the employee or their spouse. This age limit, and the age they can continue coverage until if they are a student or disabled, varies by district. This information can be found under the My Benefits section of the website by selecting your district and reviewing the extended health and dental information. The ages could be different by benefit, so it is important to check both. To continue to qualify for benefits at a certain age, the dependent child must be either in full-time attendance at a recognized school, college, or university, or be considered disabled. Full-time attendance at school typically means more than 10 hours of classroom instruction per week, or to be registered in at least 3 classes per semester. To confirm whether a dependent child is eligible for coverage at a certain age, PBC sends a report and letters 3 months before the dependent child's birthday. The reports are sent to the benefits administrator, and the letters are sent either to the benefits administrator or directly to the employee, depending on the district's preference. Most districts are set up to receive these letters and manage the communication with the employees. In this case, district benefits administrators send the PBC notice to the employee asking whether the child is a student. If the employee completing the form indicates the dependent child is a student, the benefits administrator uses AdminNet to certify the child as a student prior to the child's birthday, and they remain a student with coverage until the next September 30th. If they are not certified as a student, coverage will terminate at the end of their birthday month. The student recertification process runs in July each year and identifies all dependents who are enrolled as a student and asks for confirmation of student status by September 30th of that year. The benefits administrators provide the recertification form to the employee for completion. When a form is received back confirming a child's student status, the benefits administrator uses AdminNet to certify the child as a student. Alternatively, the member can also certify the dependent's student status through their own online PBC member profile page. Coverage for any student who does not recertify will be terminated September 30th. Coverage can be reinstated if a dependent student returns to school or is otherwise found to be eligible. Details about this process are outlined in the AdminNet Administration Guide available on AdminNet. Coverage terminates at the end of the month when the child reaches the maximum age, as outlined on the My Benefits page on the website. If a dependent child is reaching the age limit and is disabled, PBC must approve continuation of coverage prior to the child reaching the initial age limit as specified in the My Benefits section of the PEBT website for extended health and dental. To obtain approval, have the employee complete a PEBT change form and provide a copy of the approved CRA or Persons with Disability document. The benefits administrator will submit the change form and the necessary documentation to PBC for review. PBC will confirm in writing back to the benefits administrator whether coverage has been approved or declined. You would then advise the employee of the decision. Let's check in on your learning. What can trigger a termination of benefits? Employee resigns, employee is no longer eligible, hours reduction or job change, employee terminated, retirement, aged out of the benefit. What are 2 reasons a dependent child's coverage can continue after aging out of the plan? Full-time school, or if they are disabled. Congratulations! You have just completed the 3rd in a series of skill-building lessons. You can now describe eligibility, enroll a member, make benefit updates, ensure beneficiaries are updated, and process dependent child student confirmations. This concludes Skill Building Lesson 3, Managing Benefit Records. You can find more self-directed skill-building modules on the PEBT website.